Okay, let's get right to it. In this video, what we're going to do, we are going to add on to what we discussed in the previous video about archiving. This video is going to focus mainly on compression. As we discussed earlier, the tar command archives and compresses files or directories. We use compression to make files in a directory smaller, primarily for the use of transferring over a network. Easier to transfer smaller files via the internet. Some of the different types of compression that Linux uses are Gzip, Bzip, Zip, and tar. So we're going to cover just the zip compression. Okay, so we know in our test directory, we're going to keep working with that directory. We have these practice files, and we know that all these files have data in them. If I can type, so they all have data. And we are going to compress a few of these files. So we're going to use different commands to one, compress, and the reverse to extract the compression from these files. So the first one we're going to start with is zip. The zip file compression. Let's take a look at the help menu. Here are the list of flags you can use while using the zip command, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But to basically zip a file, you clear the screen. Let's zip the first file. We are going to zip. So the syntax for zipping the file is going to be the command, the file name, which you create with a .zip extension, and the file name to be compressed. So again, the syntax is going to be the command, the zip file name, which you create, and the source, the file you want to compress. So to zip the first file, we're going to do command zip. We are going to call this new zip file dot zip, and then we are going to add file we want to zip. It tells us it was deflated 75%, and now the original file stays here, and now we have the zip file. Based on what they say the bytes of the file is, it has been compressed right here. Okay, so and to unzip this file, well, before we unzip this file, let me make some changes to these permissions in here really quick. Okay, I'm back. So we made the changes. So, and we are going to move this new zip file into the user's home directory. Oops, I gotta look into the user's home directory. So there's a new zip file, and we are going to unzip that file in the user's home directory. So the command to unzip a zip file is just going to be unzip. Before we unzip, let's just take a look at the help page. So the flags to unzip, to the unzip command, list files, short format, extract files to pipe, no messages. So never overwrite existing files, overwrite files without prompting. So these are flags. Correction, these are arguments that you can use. These are arguments that you can use while unzipping the file. We're just going to unzip the file in the user's home directory. So the command is going to be unzip, and pay attention to the absolute path of the user's home directory. The original file is there. So replace practice. This is the file that was zipped. So this is the file that was originally archived or compressed. So this is the file that was originally compressed. I am extracting this file, which was originally called this name, and the operating system recognizes that the file does not exist in the user's home directory. It asks me, do I want to replace it? Yes, no, or rename it. So I'm going to go with R to rename it. I hit R, turn. So the new name is going to be new_practice .txt. So now if you take a look into the user's home directory, we will see that the file is not here. So it unzipped the file in my present working directory versus where the file was located. So it came here in my present working directory. So to unzip it here, So to unzip it here would be unzip. And it takes it back to its original name. So simple enough, that is how you compress a file or multiple files with zip. Let's do multiple files. Clear the screen. That is how we compress and extract files with the zip command. So to zip multiple files, let's remove this. Or to compress multiple files with the zip command, will be zip file name. Let's keep this new file.zip. Then the name of the files that you want to compress. So we'll do first one with a space. Second one, let's do 3. So those 3 files, and it tells us we're adding, so they were deflated. And if we look here, we have the new zip file, and it contains those 3 files. How do we know that it contains? Go to the screen. Well, we can do. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the unzip help menu. The L argument list files short format. So if you do unzip with the L argument with the new zip file, it tells us the files that are part of this compressed file. So basically that's the zip command broken down. So the next form of compression that we're going to cover now is Gzip. Just another form of compression. And these file compressions end in the .gz extension. So difference between zip and Gzip is when you zip a file, you create the file name and you choose the file to be compressed. Gzip, the command is just gzip and the file name. The syntax for the command is gzip and the file name. But before we get into the command, let's take a look at the help menu. See, decompress is a flag D with the gzip command. So that's how you extract. One way of extracting it. L argument lists the compressed file contents. If you compress multiple files, we use the lowercase l argument to list that content. And let's use the gzip command to compress some of these files. So let's compress some of these files here using the gzip command. We'll do it several different ways. Gzip practice at.txt. That form of compression takes the file and compresses it. So it actually compresses the actual file, so there is no other copy of it. So, and one way to uncompress it is we just looked at it. Gzip flag D, gzip with the D argument. We look, it's right back. So now that we know how to use the gzip command to compress a file, how would we compress multiple files? Well, the gzip command does not compress multiple files into one compression like the zip command does. If you wanted to compress 3 of these files, you would compress the 3 files individually. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So the command gzip, you choose the file you want to compress. And if you want to compress another one, you just put a space and choose the other one. If you want to compress a third, and so on, you choose that file. And when you hit the return key, go along, listen, the files that you chose are individually compressed with a .gz extension. And notice that their original file there is no copy of it. It's just been compressed. And to uncompress these files using gzip, we did gzip flag D, but there's also a gunzip or gunzip with the file name, and you can uncompress multiple files at the same time. Let's just do 2. You look, the originals are back, and let's just take a look at what the compressed file looks like. So this is what the compressed file looks like in its compressed form. I hit Control C in order to exit out that compressed form. So to unzip it, unzip, and we are back to normal. We've covered zip, Gzip, and we are going to cover Bzip, another form of compression Linux used to compress files. When using compression to compress files, they're used to compress all different types of files. I know we have .txt files with just text in them, but if you had photos, videos, or other file extensions type files stored on your server, you could also use the bzip, zip, or gzip command to compress those different types of files. So the bzip command is actually bzip2. Take a look at the help menu. So bzip to extract a compressed bzip file, use the D argument. The Z argument force compression. The F argument overwrite existing output files. T argument test compressed files integrity. So different arguments for whatever you're trying to accomplish. So bzip2 file name. That's it. It compresses that file. If you want to compress multiple files, you would just put a space in between each file. And to uncompress bzip file names, you can use, as we saw before, bzip2 flag D, the file name, or let's compress a couple of them. You can also use, just like the Gzip with the G unzip or gunzip, you can use B unzip or bunzip too. The file name. And you can also do multiple zip files at the same time. There are the original files back. So those are different types of compressions you can use to compress files. As we covered in the tar command is used to compress files and directories. That concludes archiving and compressions. We have the tar command to archive and compress directories and files. And we have different types of compressions for files with the zip, gzip, and bzip2. Thanks for watching.